Welcome back to the Star Monroe show. Put your best fancy frock on, slip those shoes on, put the red lippy on, because we're entering into a new era. It's the era of that woman. She's magnetic, unapologetic. Oh, and she's exceptional. But before we dive into more about her, allow me to bring you up to speed on where life has been taking me. And just as I started recording, one of the kittens has just walked into my office. So we may be hearing, I think it's Eugene, him in the background. So this year has been jam-packed with lessons. And I think I'm going to maybe repeat this later on in the podcast, but it feels like life is giving me a do-over. It feels like life is presenting me with another opportunity to do things differently because I'm sober. Because a lot of the things that I'm doing this year, I did when I was still drinking. And I wasn't drinking heavily, this is in the last couple of years or so. I wasn't drinking heavily, yet I still had the drink in the background. So it does feel like life is really giving me this opportunity. Star Monroe, you get a chance to really grow this year, to do things differently. And here's here's all the doors that we are presenting to you. So although this year has felt, oh my God, it's felt like it's crawled along at a snail's pace at times. And then other times it's been really beautifully slow. And other times I've struggled with this year. Like I've woken up many mornings just going, I really don't know what I'm doing, where I'm going, who I am, where life is taking me. And yet, if you've listened to me, our job is to create a deep relationship with ourselves and to be able to stay with ourselves, whatever is happening. Because if you're anything like me, and I've got a feeling you are because you're listening to my podcast, maybe watching me on YouTube, I'm not here to live the status quo, live the normal life. I'm here to live a life that makes sense to me. And also I'm here to be all of me. And that's a challenge in a world that loves to box women, put women in a box and go, this is who you are. And we believe all this bullshit as well, by the way. So it's real kind of unraveling all of this. So it brings me back to what I was saying about this year has been a real challenge. I have been in the unknown. I have been uncertain. I have, it's been a very challenging year. And yet, as I move into where I am right now, the changes that happen feel like they are quantum leap level changes. And of course, this was going to happen because this is what happens when you do the inner work, when you stay with yourself, when you shift your self identity, when you learn to release. I'm still being challenged with this, to release the grasping, the clinging on to the old so that you can move into the new. So whether you're new or you are a committed follower, listener of mine, I'm going to start at the beginning, give you a snapshot of it all, because as I'm coming further away from it, I've got a wider perspective of everything now. And I know as I'll move further away from this episode, this chapter of my life, I'm going to look at it differently again and again and again. So at the beginning of the year, my business was growing exponentially and everything looked like I was setting everything up to take my business to the next level. And the brand at the time was called the High Standards Woman. Now, I love the High Standards Woman. And this year, I wasn't sure where she fitted into everything. And I felt a loss, some grieving around that. And you'll hear as I share more about my business evolution because that's ongoing, how she's slotted back into place, which I'm very excited about, because the High Standards Woman is very dear to my heart, because that's how everything wraps up. We raise our internal standards, we raise our standards for ourselves, and that's how we raise our self-respect. And if I'm doing a sort of formula here for you, as we raise our self-respect, we build a trust bond with ourselves. And anyway, I'm getting excited and I'm running off, but we're going to come back to that. So yeah, my business was growing. I was ready to take it to the next level. I was inserting something here. I'm actually really grateful for this gift of this interruption this year, because I was also fast tracking myself to burnout. So now I've leaned back and really had that time, because this year has taught me more patience. It's really taught me to lean back, look at things through different lenses, to walk away from things, rather than that urge that we all have to fix something that's uncomfortable, to force a conclusion when we don't know the answers. So life at the beginning of the year gave me something that forced me to reevaluate my priorities. My adult son came back into my life. Now, he'd been through his own trials and tribulations, and he'd survived a near fatal attack a couple of years ago. And we started to repair. We had a very disjointed relationship, and we started to repair our relationship last year. He came to Turkey a couple of times. And when we was in Istanbul in December, I knew that he needed some time out. And I was in a place that I could offer that to him. So I invited him and said, would you like to move to Turkey and just rest? It was an unconditional offer, which is something, and if you're watching me on YouTube, my eyes are going to the corner because one of the kittens is chewing my clothes. And so I was never given anything unconditionally through my parents. It's always like, if I give you this, you have to do that. So I knew that if I gave this to George, it was unconditional. There was no ties onto this. It was like, you get to rest, you get to have the space to heal, to get your head straight again. So I brought him to Turkey, and he'd been here for 8 months. And at the beginning, it became really, really obvious to me that I had to choose George over my business. So in the spring of this year, I closed my business down, and I dedicated myself into learning how to be a better mother to George, because way back, these are the formative years as well. Between 0 and 7, this is who we form ourselves, who we are, through the relationship we have with our mother and father. So George's father and I divorced when George was 1, and he moved completely out of the picture. So he wasn't there at all. And then he had me as a mother, and I was an addict. So George did not have the best start. And so as I'm moving through my life, one of my intentions, values, is to be in a position to be a better mother towards George, because as I've been doing this work on myself, even a couple of years ago, I couldn't even consider that I could be a better mother. And so the fact that this year I had the opportunity to do things differently, well, it's a testament to the work of how we talk to ourselves and how we hold ourselves, and that nothing is absolute. We can do things over. We can repair. And so when he came here, I didn't realize this, but there was a lot of repairing to do, a lot of repairing to do. And that work asked more of me than anything I've done before. And I've done a lot of hard things in my life. I moved through addictions, alcoholism, left codependent relationships, moved countries, shut down businesses, changed my career, um, changed my relationship with money, lived on the breadline. Like this repairing my relationship with my son goes all right up to the top. And here's the thing about repairing relationships is that we tend to want the other person to change. Well, they need to change. They need to talk differently to me. They need to act differently. And the thing is, though, all the time we do that, we hand over our power, our choice, because we can't control other people. Like we can't control life, but we can control ourselves. And so what I've learned this year is a softening with myself, a softening with my son, an ease. This has been very, very challenging this year. For me, probably for George too. I'm not an easy person to live with. We're complete opposites. I'm very organized, structured. I've got an OCD. I like everything in order. And my son is very laissez-faire, very relaxed, very messy. So a lot of the work, well, first of all, it was like I had to change how I was talking, how I was delivering, my tone. I had to change my energy. I couldn't come from a place of anger or resentment. I couldn't raise my voice. So we don't get to change those by thinking about it. It happens in the moment, and that requires a huge amount of energy, of bandwidth to do that. And also in all of this, I'm going to say I have learned, but it feels like it's an absolute. I am learning. I'm in process of releasing the expectations that I have around other people that I'm in relationship. They should do this. They should do that, and just kind of allowing myself to be with that person. Because as I release those expectations, there's movement that happens. It just feels so much easier to kind of be with. So the gift in all of this is the bond that we've created while he was here with me. So we've become closer, stronger. I feel like we're friends. And yeah, I feel like we're friends. And I'm just taking a moment with that. And so as this was rolling out, I felt a pull to move my business to the next evolution, wherever that was taking me. I wasn't too sure where that was taking me, but I wrote a book. My Wild Love Affair. It's available on Amazon, which talks about the transitions and the shifts, what I've gone through the last couple of years, and what it really means to transform ourselves at a really deep level. And then I opened the doors to a new program, the School of Devotional Living, where I'm running right now. I'm guiding women back to their bodies and their wisdom and their rhythm, their way of life. And as I look at this, I've been looking at this in the last couple of months, kind of panning out, leaning back. Where's this taking me? Because it's really easy for our ego to think, whoa, this is my new business venture. This is where I'm going to stay. This must be it. But I was like, no, this opened the door to something else. And so this brings me back to a quote that I use over and over again by Rumi: follow what lights you up, it will not lead you astray. And so this is how I truly believe life is rolling out for me. And I've got a feeling that it's probably rolling out for you too, is that we're being called to move towards something. And it's not the destination. That's what our ego thinks. When I get there, I'm going to get all my goodies: happiness, money, relationships, the house, the country, wherever you want to live, and everything's going to be hunky-dory. But it doesn't happen like that. The journey to get to a place is where we are forged, where we are created, where we evolve. And as human beings, we are here to evolve. We're not here to be in our comfort zone. It's just like a surefire way to switch off your life force, to switch off your aliveness. And that's why a lot of women, well, human beings, will seek out aliveness through relationships, affairs, sex, drugs, rock and roll, food, distractions. And the real quest is to go, stop looking outwards and start looking inwards. So I truly believe we're here to follow what lights us up. And that's who we become. We evolve, we get there. We must integrate these lessons when we walk through the door. We rest, we integrate, we reflect, and then there'll be something else, and something else until we die. So, and we only get one life. So it's like, that's how I really look at life. I truly believe that that's how life rolls through us, and we can resist it. That's painful. I've been there too. And we resist it because of our fears. I'm scared to change, I'm scared to let go. And your job, my job, is to transcend our fears, to become allies with our fears. So we coexist and we walk with them rather than letting them lead the show. So the journey back home to our most exceptional selves is one that I know intimately. And way back, and I've already alluded to it at the beginning, is I've lived through addictions of every flavor: alcohol, toxic relationships with men, money, my body, work. I've walked it and I've walked out the other side, and I'm continuing to walk it. And today I live a simpler, more elegant life where I'm deeply connected to myself and to my higher self. And you can call your higher self whatever you want to call it. Your genius, God, goddess, source, doesn't matter. It's the same thing. But I'm deeply connected to that. So this work of coming back home, being that woman, is inextricably woven through the fabric of everything I do. So as I continue my story, back in August, only last month, feels like it was ages ago, I flew back to the UK. Obviously, if you're watching me on YouTube, I've got my thumb going to the right. The UK's over there. To put my house on the market. Now, this is a house I'd been renting out for the last couple of years, but I'd lived in that house for over 20 years. I'm not emotionally attached to it anymore. But the decision to sell it, oh my God, it's been years in the making. So that house, I walked in it when I was in England. I was like, oh no, this has to go, because there were so many memories in that house. My first husband, the divorce, raising George, divorcing, starting business, a Pilates studio, pole dancing academy, coaching, retreats. It's held toxic boyfriends, the taste of money, the losing all my money, living on the breadline. Then I walked into another marriage and another divorce. Like, that house holds for me a lot. So I knew there was something inside me. And I want to point this back to you. There is always this knowing inside us. We know what to do. It's the listening to it that we need to hone the craft and the skill, and then acting upon it. Because if we don't listen to it, then it gets really, really quiet. And what happens is that inner critic, our fears lead, or our wounded parts will lead. And because we're not acting upon it, we're not trusting ourselves, we mistrust ourselves. So then we rely on external validation. You see how that all rolls out. So I knew it was time to unhook the noose from my neck and let it go. And so my final tie to the UK, I kind of say materially, is going. So, and then as all this was happening, life was presenting me with another challenge with George. So in this year, we'd talked about and planned to move to the States. Let me just have a drink. Just give me 1 second. We'd planned to move to the States. That's always been my plan, to move to the States. But as I talked to the officials, talked to my sister who lives out there, it became very clear that this wasn't going to happen. And it looked like it was an impossible task. And also interwoven with that was that I was I was putting the money up. I was financially responsible for this. And then I was like, oh, I'm taking George with me to this next chapter. It just felt like a lot of pressure. And before I was leaving the UK, I just kind of felt this heaviness inside my body. And I was kind of looking at the relationship between George and I was like, is this healthy anymore? Is this working? So when I came back to Turkey in September, George and I had a conversation and decided that because America wasn't happening and he can't work in Turkey, that it was time for him to begin his own chapter. Begin his own chapter by going back to England. And I said before, like, life is giving me a do-over, because the last time we separated was when I moved to Turkey in 2022. I did it really abruptly. I didn't do it well. And I'm not guilt tripping myself. I'm not shaming myself. It was just, I didn't have the skills to be able to handle a big separation like this. So what I did it very abruptly, put my defenses up and shut down. And that's probably my son texting me now, actually, in the background. But it was like, life is giving me another opportunity to do this well. So this time, for me, I'm doing it in a mature way. I want George to succeed, whatever success looks like for him. And the thing is, I know it's not going to happen if I keep holding everything together for him here. And there's a part of me that really wants him to stay and I want to protect him, but I'm like, you cannot. You've got to let him fly. You've got to let him go. So last week, he flew back to England. Oh, it was painful and scary because he's been my companion. And I really did think life was taking us in another direction, but it's not. So it's the right move. And life is literally teaching me, let go, let go, let go. And now George is gone, and George really took care. And if you don't know the backstory, George rescued 4 baby kittens when they were 2 days old, back in April, and he's hand reared them. And so life has got this amazing sense of humor. I now find myself taking care of these 4 baby kittens, and I am looking for homes for them as I prepare for my next move, because there's something coming up for me, another move to another country. And so looking for homes for these beautiful kittens, I think they're all hiding in my clothes and my wardrobe over in the corner, is hard in a country that's inundated with strays. So here's a plea from me to you. If you're in the Fethiye area of Turkey, and you're looking for a beautiful kitten or two, and they are so adorable. They are so adorable, and they're so loving, and they're just beautiful. Please message me either on Instagram, Ms. Star Monroe, or WhatsApp me. And my number is +44 7801 238922, and let's talk about homing these beautiful kittens. So sad. I'm like, every time I look at these kittens. Anyway, back on track, Star. Focus. So let me get us back to business. So I'm really glad. Well, one of the quotes I've used in the years is listen to your own lectures. Listen to your own lectures. So glad that I listened to mine. And as I've already said, like this year is all about me leaning back from the pushing, the forcing, the trying to make everything work out a certain way. And in all of this trying to force things to happen before they're happening, they're ready to happen. I've worked with countless coaches and strategists, and every single one of them I've learned something from, even if it's like, oh, I'm never going to do it that way. But when I walked away from all of them, something clicked inside me. And I started asking myself better questions around how I want my business, because my business is an integral part to me. For me, one of my values for all women is to be financially independent. So for me, running a business that works for me is highly important. And I was like asking myself these questions. Well, how do I want my business to evolve? And what am I good at? And how do I want to deliver it? And I had to ask those questions and then lean back and resist forcing the answers to come, because the first answers that tend to come tend to be seeped in dogma, shoulds, or we've learned here. So a word kept coming up for me as well. And it was the word magnetic. I would say I'm a magnetic woman. I'm highly magnetic. And so I rolled around with this. I rolled around in my boudoir with this. I rolled around with this word, and I just kind of kept playing with it. And I was like, okay, so it's not going away. So let's see where it leads me. And it's led me, this is the interesting part, it's led me back to the work that I was doing at the beginning of the year. And yet I'm coming at it from a different perspective and a lot more depth, because I've done a lot more work on myself and my business this year. And at the beginning of the year, I was in too much of a rush to make this happen. So it was never going to happen. So thank the goddess in the sky that George came in to interrupt me. So, and in all of this, as I circle back and I'm like, oh, it's a similar idea that I was having at the beginning of the year. Like I was onto something. It was like, works for me. It's like, this is what I'm good at. This is how I can help women. And I could go, oh, well, you've failed, or you've messed up, or you can't go backwards, or you can't do this. But that's where my mantra comes in. There are no rules. There's no rules. So as I started to peel all of those off, I was like, well, what do you want to do? What feels good for you? And, I had to keep asking this because I'm a stubborn motherfucker. I was like, well, I can't do that. And I was like, why can't you do that? There's no rules. If there was no rules, how do you want this to play out? So I had to keep moving into this playful negotiation with myself. And I said earlier, I was like, I've never been a woman you can put in a box. Never. And I know that you aren't too. You cannot put you in a box. As soon as you put you in a box, you stifle off your life force. And I've never been a woman who will settle for the status quo or settle. This is good enough. That's not my language. It's not how I live my life. And I know that you're not either. You're not here to settle for the status quo. And so with all of this wisdom percolating around in my body and everything else moving and shifting, and like it really feels like everything's being stirred up, and that we have to stir the energy up. If we keep everything the same, nothing changes. So it's like all these big shifts, George shifting, trying to find these cats a home, or I will find the cats a home, selling the house, even the trip, I met up with my ex-husband again. It's stirring everything up, the business. The answers started to come to me like moths to a flame, because they will. The answers will come to you. So I've always been here to live fully, to be exceptional. Now, at the beginning of the year, that was wrapped up in my ego, still that kind of proving energy. But now it's from my soul. So I'm here to be my most exceptional version of myself in how I think, in what I believe, in how I act, how I serve, how I move through the world, how I touch other women's lives as well. And the reason, I've already given you a clue earlier, the reason I do all this work is that you're not here to live in survival. And I've lived in survival for a long part of my life. And to do that, you need to be financially independent. So you never have to rely on anyone else for your freedom. There's a tattoo on my back. Had it done in my mid-30s. And I can't see it, but I know it's there. And it says, free spirit everlasting. And it's a reminder you're here, your value is freedom. And how are you going to get your freedom? It's money, it's financial independence. And so that is a huge why. I've also been in relationships where the man has had the money and I haven't, and you don't have any control. So I'm all for, you have to be the most exceptional motherfucking version of you. You have to access all your skills, your genius, what you're here to do, so you can be a conduit for prosperity. You can be a conduit for prosperity. And another why is you need to be able to take everyone off the pedestal that you've placed there, especially men, and you need to stand there yourself. And also, you have to stop. You've got to learn the skills to stop doubting your own wisdom and follow it fearlessly. Because as you follow it fearlessly, you are going to enter the unknown. You are going to be presented with uncertainties, and you must be able to hold your fine, fabulous self as life presents you with those. And you do this, so you build life that makes sense to you, and you inspire others to do the same. You inspire others to do the same. You inspire the generations above you, the generations below you. This is why I'm here. This is why I do what I do. So you can raise your standards sky high and become that woman. That woman, she started out last year. If you've been with me for a while, she started coming through main character energy, then into the high standards woman. And I'm like, oh, it's always been about that woman. And as I did the work this summer as well around devotion, it's another depth, it's another layer to my work. It's like, no, it's being that woman, magnetic, unapologetic, and exceptional. And here's why this is so exciting, and like pathways are opening up for you, because I have a body of work I've built over the decades, and I can see how it's all starting to fit together. And at the beginning of the year, I was blindsided by my own stubbornness and I couldn't see it. And this body of work is leading you back into that woman. It's made for you, the woman who is refusing to keep repeating the same story and is committed to becoming the woman you've known you're here to be. You've always meant to be this version of you. I've always known that there's a version of me that I'm here to grow into. I'm in her. Hello, kisses. And so the thing is, what happens as women travel this journey, and I've said this before, in human design, I'm a 3/6 projector. I'm here to learn a lot of lessons by making a lot of mistakes. So I've made the mistakes for you. And here's the mistake most women do when they get to this point of like, I'm ready to step into this new era. I'm ready to change. I'm ready to be my most exceptional self. They change the outside circumstances, the job, the wardrobe, the relationship, maybe even the zip code. I think there's a nod to me here as well about moving from the UK to Turkey, hoping that the outside change will quiet the inside unrest. But if you've been following my work, you'll see this thread. This is the core of my work. And the secret that not many women know, outside change never lasts. I mean, if you've been knocking around as long as I have, I'm nearly into my 55th revolution around the sun, you know it doesn't last. And so this is not about changing external circumstances. This is about self-identity. This is the thread that runs through everything. Your self-identity is the story you tell yourself about who you are, your worth, and what's possible for you. It quietly runs the show, shaping how you communicate, dress, spend, love, lead, and attract. This is the inner work that I've been doing in my own life, and with thousands, I've worked with thousands of clients over the years. It's the work that I have cultivated a mastery of. The woman who got you here, you probably want to write this one down, is no longer for a match to the woman you're being called to become. Stay trying just to change your external circumstances, and life will only hand you more of the same. You already know this. You already know this. You will have evidence of this in your life. So allow me to reintroduce myself. Hi, I'm Star Monroe, self-identity expert, psychotherapist, author, and madame of high standards. Of course I'm the madame of high standards. Of course I am. There are many ways we can make sweet, beautiful magic together. And if you're new, this is where I would advise you to start. Start with the essentials. I've got guides, mini programs, and books that open the door. If you're ready to go deeper, then dive into the immersions and the intensives. We're building that out on the website right now, so more's coming. You have programs like the High Standards Woman Finishing School, Main Character Energy, the Queen's Path. I've got intensives on, let me say that again because I didn't feel like it came out right. I've got intensives on healing your relationship with your money, with your body, attracting a better caliber of relationships. So there's dating, decentering men, relationships. I'm trying to think what else is there. I think I've even got programs on healing your relationship with food as well. Like I told you, I've got a body of work. And thank you, life, for giving me all these lessons and twists and turns this year, because it really has given me the opportunity to go. Because here's the other thing, I was looking at it, I was going, oh no, I can't use that. It doesn't all work together. I told you, there's a stubbornness in me that if you've got a stubborn side, we have to put that stubborn energy to good use. Do not use it against yourself. So it's like, of course it all works together. Of course it's all about self-identity. I've been doing identity work for over 10 years now. And one of my first programs, The Queen's Path, it's all about identity, stepping into your queendom. And of course, if you're looking for bespoke, guided, tailored support and guidance just for you, then I would recommend looking at the Privy experience. I take on a very few select private clients, and all the information, everything you need for all of this is on my website. I'm going to repeat this again. I think this is the third time I've repeated this because this is so important. I've never been a woman you can put in a box, nor are you. I've never been a woman willing to settle for the status quo, neither are you. So as we move forward on this podcast, on YouTube, across social media, I'm going to be talking a whole lot more about becoming that woman. Magnetism, unapologetic living, raising your standards. Raising your standards so high that the world has no choice but to meet you there. Hell yes. Everything you need is in the show notes, or you can hot skip and jump over to hang on, wait a minute. What is that right, Star? Give me a second. www.thehighstandardswoman.com. Giving out the wrong URL. And until next time, magnificent one, stay absolutely exceptional.